So the first question in this Socrative was, string interning is the process of caching particular strings in memory as they are created. So what is string interning? As most of you would remember, that string interning was the process where we were supposed to cache some string or store some strings in memory, and those strings were then used for any further variables that would come into or get stored. And if they are single character strings, then they would be cached or they will be stored then and there. And if they are multi-character strings, they will be stored at a new memory location. So just a sec, let me see if, so we have discussed the yes, we have discussed how string interning was done, and there were 4 memory optimization techniques that were followed. So string interning was one of them. We have discussed it at length, and most of you have given it the correct answer as true. The next question in this series was that both is and is not are called as identity operators in Python. Is and is not both are identity operators, and this is a true statement. Okay, both of them are called as identity operators. So I don't feel that there will be any doubts. Most of you have attempted it correct. Then the next question. Okay, so this question was again in the terms of growth mindset, or you may say as a high order thinking skill question, because we have not explicitly discussed about floating point variables. The question said that suppose there are 2 variables x and y, both are having the floating point values of 55.2. And for your hint, it was told that values have been assigned before the program has started execution. Okay, so because the values have started before the program has started execution, what do you think would have happened over here? Will both x and y point to the same memory location, or will x and y point to a different memory location? No issues.
Same memory location.
Very good. Who answered? Who answered it? Shreya has answered in
So
chat.
Jesse.
Very good, Jesse. So same memory locations will be put on for both x and y. This is the same fact that we have discussed for strings, that and the same fact is being used over here, that because Python knows before it starts execution of your program, it knows that they are same values. So why to waste memory, or why to give 2 different spots of memory for the same value? Rather, what it will do, it will store both x and y at the same memory location. Some of you may say that, sir, we have discussed that for floating point literals, Python will not do any memory optimization. And this is what we have said in one of our slides, and we have discussed it over. Python does not do any optimization for floating point literals. So, and the reason that we gave over here was that there are infinite floating point numbers between any 2 integer values. So if we start doing this memory optimization thing just to ensure that new memory space is not allocated every time, and if we try doing it for floating point literals, there will be infinite numbers between just 2 integers, let alone the fact that if you will need to cover a larger set of values. So just to avoid this memory wastage thing, memory optimization is not there in Python. But this is the case when we are doing, or when we are trying to do optimization on the runtime. Before the program starts its execution, if one would try and do a memory optimization, it is pretty easy and straightforward. Python already knows there are 2 values which are same. So why to give 2 different memory spaces? And therefore, in the answer over here, you will see that x is y. When you try and print this, this will give that x and y both have the same memory location. And therefore, you will notice that this will give the answer as true. Most of you have given it true. Some of you have given it as false or error, which is not correct. Okay. So I hope that you will take care of this from here on, and you will not repeat this same mistake. Anything that you would like to ask over here? Any doubts? Anyone? I hope you will not be committing the very same mistake again. Anyone, any doubts? Anything that we should rediscuss? You have missed? No? Okay. We'll move on. If there are any doubts, you can always raise hands and we can then discuss it there. The next question. What will be the output of the following code fragment? Now, this is not just a direct question. This will involve some concepts that we have studied before. So what is the use of bool method? If anyone can tell me or remember what were we using the bool method for? Anyone who could remember? Or rather, if I would write z is equal to int 15.5, what will this int method do? If you remember, students, what was the use of?
It will convert this value into the integer value.
Very good. Taking clue from this point, can anyone infer what will this bool method do? Anyone other than Jesse? Who could answer?
It will convert the string or the number to Boolean literal.
Very good. And can anyone remember what were the rules for conversion? For numbers, what were the rules for conversion, beta? If anyone of you can remember. For
So for integer, it is true.
For integers, it is true when? For all values of integers from minus infinity.
Except 0.
Except 0. Very good. Very good. So the two of you are participating very well. I will request all of you to please join in. Even if you are wrong, we are learning. If you are correct, well done. So for integers, the rule was that all integer values except 0, when converted to Boolean, will give you true. A bad first spelling. Okay. All integer values, or you may say any number. You may also quote float or complex data type over here. So any values, it will convert a Boolean value. Okay, true or false. Very good, Harshika. So any particular number except 0 will be converted to true using which method? The bool method. And what was the rule for strings? Anyone who could remember the rule for strings? Varsha, do you remember? Yash?
So it is true for all the string except empty string.
Very good. Very good. Empty string is, except empty string, it is true. Very good, everyone. So except your empty string. And what are empty strings? When you put these two quotes and there is nothing. Remember, even a space is not an empty string. It is having something over there. It is having a space, a character over there. But what are empty strings? When you don't give any values between the quotations, those are empty strings. So except empty strings, what will the bool method give you? True for all other values. So we have kept hello over here. It will be converted into x will have the value true on the basis of these knowledge. Y will also have the value true. So as we have studied in Booleans also, we have this thing called as memory optimization. So x is y will give me, what will this give? True or false?
True.
Okay, true. Very good. So x and y will give you true, and hence your answer will be A. Okay, your answer is A. So again, a few of you have made some mistakes. Just take care of it from here on, and let us move on to the next question. The last one. Now see, this is a multi-character string. You have a multi-character string here in X and Y. Let us just do it in Python tutor so that it is easy for us to visualize. Okay, it is taking some time. Let us just do it over here. Okay, so we have two strings, X and Y. Both these strings will be have been assigned some values. We have two variables, and both these variables have been assigned the value before your program has started execution. Okay, so before your program started the execution, this particular um, variable X and Y have their values associated over here. So what you can do here is X and Y, if you compare, will they be stored at the same memory location? What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So they will be stored at the same memory location, although they are multi-character strings, but still they will be stored at the same memory location. The reason over here is that uh, when we try storing values before the compile time, if they are of same type, they will, or if they are having the same values, they will be stored at the same memory location. So if you compare X and Y for memory location, will it give you true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And the last question for you guys, that when you were asked to enter Monday, and suppose the user has entered, let us just run this program. So when you run this, suppose you entered the very same text, Monday. Now, this is the same text that was stored in X and Y, but still if you compare it, it will be stored at a different memory location. The reason is that because it is a multi-character string, it will be stored at a different memory location. It will not be compared to the values which are already stored in memory. This is under the rules of memory optimization in Python. Am I correct, everyone? Is there anyone who has any doubts? Anyone with any doubts? Kanika, Arpit, Harshika, Himisha? Would you like to ask something, beta? You can conclude that. Yes, memory, you can definitely conclude that memory optimization is going to happen before your program starts execution. It will be always be doing memory optimization. Okay, so no doubts, then let us move on. I hope it is okay. Even if you face any doubts when you go through this, you have all the videos for this. So then also you can let me know and we can always discuss it through. Now moving ahead with the topic of today. For today's topic, we will be discussing about iteration statements in Python. Okay, so we have just touched this topic once before, and we have seen a video in which you would have seen that there was a character which needed to get out of prison, and therefore it needed, or it had to do some programming, and we have seen such kind of videos over there. Um, Someone who has written something in chats. Yes, loops, you would say. So for iteration, when we say an iteration statement, what is an iteration statement? They are also known as looping or repetitive statements. The reason is they do repetitions. Why do we have to employ these things for repetitions? So suppose you have been asked to take details of all the students that are studying in your school. Okay, not even your school, just in your class. So there are 154 students who were there in class 10th who will be moving to class 11. So when you have to take details of these many number of students, we are humans, we are bound to make mistakes. And because we make mistakes while repeating tasks, therefore we are bringing in the help of machines, because machines do not make mistakes while they are repeating things. They are very good at it. So therefore, task of repetition, if done, if there is any task that needs to be done time and again for a definite number of time, remember the word a definite number of time. You need that, you know that there will be some end to this task. There will be some boundary till which this task will be repeated. After that boundary, this task will not be repeated any further. So in such a case, you will be using loops. Getting the idea where loops will be used? Okay, say suppose, can you give any one of you give me any example where we may be using loops in our daily routines? Anywhere? Okay, think about it for a moment. Okay, or rather think about it at your home, and then we can again discuss this point, that where do you think in your real life scenarios you have been doing loops, or where you have been seeing loops? Okay, so what all places are there where you can see loops in your day-to-day routine? Okay, the next top, there are two kinds of iteration statements in Python. Okay, the names are while loop and for loop. You will see these two repeated time and again through all the programming language. If you learn it in one programming language, it is replication, more of a kind of replication in all other programming languages. You see in PHP, you see in Perl, you see in C++, Java. Everywhere you will see a for loop, and more often than not, you will also find a while loop. Okay, so both the loops will be there. In some programming languages such as Java and C++, there is another loop which is a variation of while loop called as a do while loop. So because it is not in Python, we will not be discussing it. We'll just be going through what are while loops and for loops. So for today, we will see what is the syntax of while loop, and we'll also see that how a basic while loop behaves. Okay, we'll do one program to check if this is how while loops will behave for us. So next slide. So what are while loops? In Python, while loops are used to execute a block of statements. So as we have said, repetition of a task, wherever you see repetition of a task, there we have while loop. Remember, but when we are saying that repetition of task will be performed, there will be a definite number of times or a boundary conditions which will be restricting this repetition, or else it will become infinite. It will consume all the computer memory, and your task will ultimately lead to the shutdown of a particular program or your system. So repetition, whenever you are doing repetition, remember that it should be finite. It should be for a certain number of time. Okay, moving on. This loop is used when we don't know the number of times to iterate beforehand. So you see this point when we because we have said that there are two kinds of loops. There is a for iterator and there is a while loop. Both of them do more or less the same task of repetition. So when are we supposed to use a while loop and not a for loop? In Python, you will be using a while loop when you do not know how many times you will be iterating. Okay, it may not, the number of times may not be sure, but you may know, you may be knowing that, okay, I will have to do sit-ups from morning till the sunset. Okay, so how many sit-ups is not bounded over here. You may do any number of sit-ups. Someone who is slow may be able to do 100 sit-ups. Someone who is very fast may be able to do 150 sit-ups. So the number of sit-ups is not decided over here. What has been the decided factor? Say suppose it has been asked, starting from now on up until 11 o'clock you have to do sit-ups. So what is the deciding factor? Not the number of times of sit-up, but the time is the deciding factor. So you do not know how many times you will have to do. Someone who is very clever who will be doing it very slowly. So he will have to do only 50 setups. No one has made a restriction upon it, right? So remember, when we will be using while loops, when we do not know the number of times that we will have to, but we know that there is certain boundary condition. 10 o'clock is the boundary condition, 11 o'clock is the boundary condition, sunset is the boundary condition. Okay, there is some kind of boundary condition. Your parents would have often said to you, beta, you can go and play, but come before sunset. Okay, so you know that you are allowed to play before it is sunset, and as soon as you see the sun going down towards the west, you will be running back towards your home. So that is the boundary condition over here. You can play, you can play whatever you want, but you have a boundary. So let us just see how a while loop looks like. So forgive me for this a bit bad drawing. I just wish to make you see that how it works. So you how the syntax looks like. There will be a while keyword. So there is one keyword over here which is while. So you get to know a new keyword today. While. Okay. See the W is small over here. So in the keyword while you have a small w. You may have any condition. Say suppose for the condition that we just discussed. While time is before 7 o'clock, because it is 7 o'clock when the sun sets down. So while time is before 7 o'clock, and your example or your statement, instead of statements, you will have play your favorite game. Okay, so this is how it may look like in terms of programming. When you come, while whatever condition is there, this condition should remain true. As soon as the condition is set to false, your loop will stop iterating. This is the basic part of a while loop. While the condition is true, you will repeat these n statements. As soon as the condition gets false, while marks are less than 30, retest. Very good, a very good example in your regular life. So things like this are there in your board examination. While marks are less than 33, you will have to attempt your compartment examination. I am very happy that none of you got a compartment. So another way, or if you look at it through a flow chart manner, see, you have a text expression. As soon as you enter into a while loop, you will see this text expression, and you know that for any condition that you have, you will have a Boolean response, and Boolean values are only true and false, right? Am I wrong? Is there any third Boolean value? Anyone who could say that there is a third Boolean value also present over there? Anyone? No? Is it getting boring? Um, have I moved too ahead? I've just asked that is there any third Boolean value other than true and false? This is just so. I will only answer it through because you guys are very laxative today. I don't know why. So no, there is no third Boolean value. There are only two Boolean values, true and false. So how does the while loop work? It will test this condition. If this condition is true, you will see that the body of the while loop will be executed, which we have just discussed. And as soon as this condition gets false, you will see you will be exiting out of loop. What needs to be taken care is, if say suppose let us do some annotations. There is the problem. So suppose this particular line that you are seeing over here, this is something that you need to see. If you remove this line from this entire code, then you can see that it is pretty much like a if statement. The if statement also used to work like this. The only difference between an if statement and a while loop is that there was no repetition there in the if statement. In if statement, if your condition was true, if the test expression was true, you were supposed to execute the body of if, and then you will move out. But over here, when you have executed completely the body of if, you will again move back where? To this test expression. So there is something in the chats. Could you repeat, sir, what you, okay, x is equal to y. So let us just do a simple code so that you will understand how all we can use such loops. Suppose we have been asked to print a series or to print a pattern, something like this. Okay, so you will notice that there is you may notice that there is a sequence over here. And what is the sequence? In the very first line, you will see that there is only one asterisk symbol. Then in the second line, there are two asterisk symbols, third asterisk, 4, 5, and so on. This is how it is supposed to be. So what we'll do over here for printing this while loop, we'll take the symbol that needs to be printed, or rather what we can do is, we know that a while loop needs to be repeated 5 times. So what we'll do is, we'll take a variable, say suppose count or counter, and we'll give it the value of 1. We'll say that while the value of counter is less than equal to 5, while the value is less than 5 or while it is equal to 5, we will repeat this loop. So, and what are we supposed to print? We will print the asterisk symbol. How many times will we print it? We'll print it the number of times the value of counter is. Okay, very good. Over here, you can understand this statement because we have not studied strings. We'll be studying strings after this. So there is something called as a repetition in string. Suppose you write something like this. So suppose there is a string AB and you write AB into 5. So this will print AB, 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 AB 5 times. Is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. Okay. So AB into 5, this asterisk symbol, which is a multiplication symbol, when we use this with strings, it will do replication. So if you understand this point, you can use the same point over here. Your counter will have one value, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to print this asterisk symbol the number of times we have the value in counter. So what do you think will be printed over here? Anyone, any guesses? There is no right or wrong answer. I sincerely hope that all of you will be giving a wrong answer, but I still wish you to answer this because I wish you to give it a thought. Give it one fine, complete thought that what do you think will be the output over here? A lot of asterisks, definitely. Will there be, will it stop? Do you think this loop will stop anytime?
So after the counter reach on 5.
Do you think the counter will reach 5? No, it won't, right? Why won't it reach 5? Because it is not smart. We have said that machines repeat things very well, but they will only repeat those things which it knows or which you have taught the machine that you need to repeat this. It will not do repetitions just because it thinks it is correct. Okay, you may be having a different thought process. If I run this code right now, you would like to see what happens. See, it is an infinite loop. It will print asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. See how many times has it printed? It has printed for these many number of time, and when has it stopped? When I have stopped it from the keyboard, when I have stopped it from here. Okay. For all the other times, it has printed this asterisk symbol. Why is it not stopping? Because I have not asked it to stop. The condition for stopping was that the counter value should be less, until the counter value is less than 5, there is no problem. And I, a human being, have forgotten to put the increment over here. So remember, whenever you are going for any kind of loop, ensure that you are taking the loop towards its end. If you have left it this way, you will see that this loop will iterate for eternity. It will not stop iteration. Here you will, now if I try running this program, you will see that the answer is the very same one which we wish to see. Can anyone guess or do? Can anyone guess? Can any one of you guess how it worked? Anyone who could speak up and say that, sir, this may be the way through, or this may be the particular way through which it was working. Yash, Arpit, Harshika, Himisha. Anyone? No? Let us see how it works. So every time it will increment its value by 1, and as soon as the value gets over 5 or it reaches 6, so the loop will end over there. This particular website would have been good if it would have been running. Okay, no issues. See, you can see over here the value of x. Okay, so what we may do over here is we cannot actually stop it. Let me just dry run it for you so that it will be easy for you to understand. And we'll end the session then. We'll then do the rest of the things tomorrow. So initially you had a variable which had the value of 1, right? When you reach this while statement, it is actually nothing but a condition checker. It will check for this condition. It will say that, Arpit, just wait, we'll discuss what is coming in your half-yearly exams. Just wait for a moment. Okay. So we'll see this while statement will be checking this counter value. So the value of counter is 1, 1 is less than 5. So definitely it will move into the loop. There are 2 statements over here. The first statement is the print statement. So what it will print? It will print this asterisk symbol and will move on to a next line. Can anyone tell me why it will move on to the next line? Anyone quickly? Why will the print statement move the cursor to the
value is enter.
Okay, the default value for end is enter. Very good. Therefore, every time when you will be doing a new print, you will be doing it in a new line. So just keep a track of what we have studied before. If you forget that, it will be difficult for you to understand further. So as soon as you print this, the next line says that you should increment the value of counter. So change the value from 1 to 2. From 1 to 2. So the counter has a new value. And as soon as it ends, it will, where will it go? From here, it will reach here. Am I correct, everyone? Is it okay for everyone to understand that as soon as this particular line ends over here, or this your body of while loop ended, it will move back to the top. Okay. Just let me know if there is anything that you would like to ask. Okay, so as soon as we ended at with the value of counter equals to 2, it will again check this condition. This condition is again true. 2 is less than 5. We will again come and print this second line. Now asterisk will be printed twice because we have just said that this is a repetition operator. Whatever string that is there, it will repeat it for that many number of times. Now the value of counter is 2, so it will be repeated twice. And then again we will come to the increment statement. This is your increment statement. This is your increment statement. It will increment your value of counter so that it reaches the end of the program. And it will now increment it to 3. The next time it enters the loop, it will print 3 asterisks. This process will repeat for 4 and 5. Now when the value changes to 5, you have already printed up till here. The last iteration is remaining. This is the only thing that is remaining. Now the condition is that the value of counter is 5. And now the value is no longer lesser than 5. It is equal to 5. So this time also your loop will iterate and you will be printing these 5 asterisk symbols. And then your counter value will reach 6. As soon as it reaches 6, this is no longer satisfying your condition for while loop. And because it is no longer satisfying your condition for while loop, what will happen? It will move on from here to the next line. So because there is no other line present over here, nothing else will be printed. Had there been any other print statement, had there been any other statement, it would have moved from there to here. Understood, everyone? Anyone, any doubts?
Sir,
Yes?
so what is the meaning of counter?
Counter is just a variable name that we have taken. I could have taken just C over here. You can take whatever you wish. It is just an identifier name, beta, nothing other than that.
Okay, sir. Okay.
It is meant, okay, I just took the name counter so that you can relate to the fact that it is counting something. You can take X, I, whatever you wish to take. You can take whatever value you want. Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Please. It is necessary for you to understand this point better. Most of the programming languages, whatever you will study in future, okay, they will be taking you somewhere through the loop. So it is always good if you understand loops now only, so that you will not have to try and understand it in other programming languages. The concept remains the same. Okay, there may be some new name to this loop or something like that. So does it mean that first counter value has 1 and then it was multiplying and the printing? Yes. Initially what we didn't do was this. We have not taken into account this particular statement, right? Last time we didn't had this statement, and because of the absence of the statement, we were not able to just move ahead or end our loop. So the increment statement, or the statement which is ensuring that your condition variable is going towards the end, must be present in your loop. Okay. More questions or any doubts of any kind that you have? No? Sure, everyone? No doubts? Just don't hesitate. And even if you find doubts that you have doubts after this, you have my number, bache. You can always WhatsApp me. But just don't sit with doubts. It is never good to sit with doubts. It is always good to ask question and make mistakes right now when we are learning, rather than doing it in assessments. Okay. So with that, we are done with the today's topic.